CBS News contributor Jodi Kantor is a correspondent at the New York Times. Her colleagues broke the story of those settlements with 5 women totaling $13 million a little over 2 weeks ago. Jodi, good morning.
Good morning.
Last week, people were saying this will never happen. He makes too much money. The viewers, the ratings are higher than they've ever been. What do you think was a tipping point? Because after that story, the advertisers dropped out.
Well, what my colleagues Michael Schmidt and Emily Steele reported is that women were continuing to come forward. Last summer, Fox said that essentially it had cleaned house, it had solved these problems, it was committed to a different kind of culture.
But they've known about these charges.
They've known about these charges, and as recently as yesterday, another woman went on the record to say that Bill O'Reilly had made a comment about her showing more cleavage, had tried to sleep with her, et cetera, et cetera. So we don't know what will still come out in the future.
You don't think this is the end of the story?
There's been a pretty steady stream of women coming out of Fox since last summer talking about offensive things that both Roger Ailes and Bill O'Reilly have said and done.
Do you think that this story, both in terms of Roger Ailes and in terms of Bill O'Reilly, will somehow change the climate in which there are institutions that harassment goes on and women are not reporting?
I think it's really clear that workplace culture has changed, that there's a much clearer definition than there used to be. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, during the Anita Hill scandal, for instance, a lot of people said, oh, it happens in the workplace, you should brush it off. What we're seeing now is a much more professional culture in which there is usually a common definition of what's right and wrong.
What do you make of Bill O'Reilly's response? As Charlie said at the top of the broadcast, it does seem very defiant, almost like he feels that he is a victim here.
Well, that has been his line all along. But I think the question for Fox is that show does strike a very moralistic tone. He styles himself.
He has a book out right now called
as a kind of arbiter of values. And yet what the protesters were saying outside the Fox building and in an airplane up in the sky is they called him a sexual predator. That is a really tough term for a brand to sustain.
Your paper reports that after news of these Bill O'Reilly settlements, which date all the way back to 2004, that women at Fox News, quote, questioned whether top executives were serious about maintaining a culture based on trust and respect. Was firing him enough? Does it make sense for other executives who are aware of these settlements to remain?
So the question about these settlements is that they allow parties to come to agreement in private, right? A woman who's been wronged, a man who's been accused, they can reach a financial settlement and avoid embarrassment and trauma to them both. But that means that it doesn't serve the public function of within a company or within the public at large saying what's okay, what's not okay, let's agree about how to treat each other in the workplace.
Gretchen Carlson set this whole thing in motion because Roger Ailes was not going to agree to give her a 2 p.m. show. She sued him. She got paid $20 million. But as part of that, she signed a confidentiality. And she still, to this day, cannot talk about what happened. Her legal team's now asking her to be released from that.
And yet it's the critical mass of women essentially helping each other at Fox, right? One woman coming forward after another. And now these executives speaking up. And we do see over and over again in these situations that when women at a company come together and say, we don't feel safe, we don't feel respected here, that's a very powerful force.
Was the straw that broke the camel's back, A, the advertisers fleeing, or Fox executives worrying about the reputation of their news channel?
This company was being besieged on all sides by this accusation.
Thank you so much, Jodi.
Thank you.